Morning.
Just a little bit. Can you still hear me?
Yes.
All right. Well, I talk a lot, but sometimes I don't talk that loud, so I'm going to make sure you can all hear me today. Again, good morning. It is with great honor that I am with you today to reflect on the legacy of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. on his actual birthday, and how we then continue his work through our service and civic duty. I come today to speak with you about service, civic duty, and a just society, that beloved community. So the year is 1963, and the sun blazes down on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. is dressed sharply in a dark suit. He grips the podium. His voice rings out with power and clarity as he shares his dream, a vision of equality, justice, and unity for all Americans. The crowd of over 250,000 listens intently. Their hearts are swelling with hope. In that moment, Reverend Dr. King Jr.'s words transcend the barriers of race, of class, and he's calling each individual to reflect on their own responsibility in building a just and equitable society. Now, this image of the Reverend Dr. King Jr. is iconic. But what lies beneath it is his deep belief in civic duty. The idea that every individual has a role to play in shaping the world for the better. For Reverend Dr. King Jr., civic duty wasn't just about grand speeches or historic marches. It was about deliberate, daily acts of service that aligned with a higher purpose. So allow me to, just for a moment, to grip a podium and to speak with clarity, Fairchild, and discuss the responsibilities you have. As we gather together in community this morning, I want to briefly speak about that beloved community. In the vision of Reverend Dr. King Jr., racism and all forms of discrimination, bigotry, and prejudice will be replaced by an all-inclusive spirit of sisterhood and brotherhood. Love and trust will triumph over fear and hatred. The beloved community for the Reverend Dr. King Jr. was a realistic, achievable goal that could be attained by a critical mass of people committed to a coalition of conscience, a mindset of civic duty and service to each other and to one another. But for some, you see, this is where the tension arises. Civic duty is simple in concept and complex in execution. Reverend Dr. King Jr. knew that change would not come through passive hope, but through intentional, collective action. His guide to social transformation included such things as information gathering, education, personal commitment, negotiation, and reconciliation. This is the framework that anyone who seeks to make an impact can use. And as service members, you want to make an impact. You live to make an impact. So how do you do it? It starts with information gathering. Understanding the challenges, the systems at play, and the needs of the people you serve. For Reverend Dr. King Jr., this meant learning from the lived experiences of Black Americans facing systemic injustice. It also meant studying history, philosophy, and theology to craft a vision rooted in universal principles. For you, it means learning the lived experiences of your communities, your teammates, your on-base and off-base communities. Ask questions. Seek to understand another's worldview. This is not about agreeing. This is about learning. And when you learn new information, we broaden our understanding and increase our empathy. Two things this world needs now more than ever: Next is education. Sharing knowledge and equipping others with the tools to act. Civic duty, though, is not a solo endeavor. It thrives on community engagement. For Reverend Dr. King Jr., this meant inspiring people to see themselves as agents of change, capable of contributing to a larger movement. For us, as honorary commanders and civic leaders, we seek to learn the issues that you and your families are facing, and we act on helping to illuminate, elevate, and eliminate those through community engagement. Now, personal commitment is where civic duty becomes deeply personal. It demands stepping out of your comfort zones, making sacrifices, and standing firm even when the road is difficult. Reverend Dr. King Jr.'s commitment often placed him in danger, but he understood that true service requires resilience and courage. Now see, all of you take this personal commitment to the highest level. You and every service member have shown you are willing to step up and stand firm in the face of difficulty against all enemies, foreign and domestic, even if it means placing yourself in danger. Negotiation was also a cornerstone of his approach. While direct confrontation was sometimes necessary, Reverend Dr. King Jr. sought dialogue and compromise wherever possible, recognizing that long-term change requires mutual understanding, dialogue. We must communicate one-on-one with one another to gain understanding. Do this with your peers. Do this with your communities. Do this with those who may be in disagreement with you. You see, negotiation is not a loss or a lose-lose situation. It is about working to build shared values, creating sustainable system change. Finally, reconciliation was always the goal. You see, civic duty is not about division, but about healing. Bringing people together to create those systems and communities that are inclusive and fair. Reverend Dr. King Jr., his work sought not just equality, but also unity. A vision where all people could thrive together. A service member is part of his or her community. Thus, a service member is a community member. And what creates justice for the community also creates justice for the service member. And if there is injustice in the community, a service member has a responsibility to assist with helping, healing, and creating equity and unity. And see, I believe military service embodies the ultimate goal of unity. And that is striving to bring together diverse individuals under a common purpose. It is the diversity that creates a better team. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise. It transcends differences of background, belief, and circumstance, requiring people to work side by side, bonded by trust and shared values and mission. The military operates on the principle that strength lives in solidarity, whether defending a nation's ideas, aiding in humanitarian efforts, or securing peace. Service members unite to achieve goals that no one could accomplish alone. This unity is not just a strategy, it's a testament to the belief that collective effort, the diverse effort, can overcome the greatest challenges. At its heart, military service is a profound commitment to the idea that we are stronger together. It exemplifies what it means to pursue a common good, echoing Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s vision of a beloved community. One built on interconnectedness, mutual respect, and the shared hope for a better future. But look, civic duty is not only reserved for historic figures like the Reverend Dr. King Jr. You don't have to be a star or have stars on your epaulet. It's a calling for all of us. Military service is, again, one of the most profound expressions of civic duty, rooted in sacrifice, discipline, and commitment to something greater than oneself. Your country, your wing, the airmen to your left and to your right, your neighbors, your community. Yet service did not end with the uniform. For veterans, the connection is clear. Veterans have a unique opportunity to continue serving their communities by leading with integrity, by building bridges, and by fostering unity. My sister, Katara Johnson-Jones, and you'll hear from her shortly, she does that daily. Now, in your neighborhoods and towns, civic duty can take many forms. It might mean organizing community events that bring people together, such as food drives. It might mean volunteering to mentor youth, or working alongside others to educate local challenges like housing, childcare, education, and safety. It is about stepping up to ensure our communities are vibrant, supportive, and inclusive. See, the challenge, and quite frankly, the beauty of civic duties is that it's ongoing. Reverend Dr. King Jr.'s framework reminds us that our responsibility to serve does not have a finish line. It is iterative, requiring constant reflection, action, and growth. Whether you are gathering information to better understand an issue or an individual, educating others to raise awareness, or working toward reconciliation in divided spaces, on base, or in the community, every step matters. You matter. Reverend Dr. King Jr.'s legacy calls us to examine our own lives and ask the question, what am I doing for others? This is not a rhetorical question. It is an invitation to act. Civic duty is about more than individual achievements. It is about contributing to the collective good. See, when we honor our civic duty, we honor the values of Reverend Dr. King Jr. and those values that he dedicated his life and ultimately gave his life to advancing. As Reverend Dr. King Jr. so powerfully said, quote, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing for others? Not simply for yourself, but for others. The answer lies not in words, but in action. It lies in the commitment to serve, to lead, and build a legacy of impact that inspires others to do the same. The question today is not whether you can make a difference, but how you would choose to do so. But how then, as Reverend Dr. King asked, do we conquer this self-centeredness that seems pervasive in our society? The Reverend Dr. King Jr. believed one of the best ways to conquer it was to discover some cause, some purpose, some loyalty outside yourself, and give yourself to that something. And there's another way. And it was coming to the point of seeing that you are where you are today because somebody helped you get there. This is important because we cannot do what we do without the help of others. In fact, asking for help when you need it is a selfless act. During a sermon in 1957 at the Dexter Avenue Church in Montgomery, Alabama, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King stated, one of the ways to rise above this self-centeredness is to move away from self and objectify yourself in something outside of yourself. Find some great cause, some great purpose, some loyalty to which you can give yourself and become so absorbed in it that it's something you would give your life to. You know, several years ago, I had the great privilege to travel on a civil rights pilgrimage. And on that pilgrimage, I was able to visit the very same Dexter Avenue Church in Montgomery, Alabama. And as I sat in the pews of the Dexter Avenue Church alongside my dear friend Katara, I could feel his presence. And I could envision his words. which continue to resonate profoundly with me, both as a black man and as a veteran. See, again, I believe military service exemplifies the very essence of selflessness. Service members like yourself sacrifice personal comforts, safety, and sometimes their lives to protect the freedoms and ideals greater than themselves. I believe their commitment, your commitment, mirrors Reverend Dr. King Jr.'s vision of a life rooted in love and community, a life dedicated to lifting others. In a world often consumed by individualism, military service stands as a steadfast reminder of what it means to serve humanity with courage, humility, inclusiveness, and purpose. So today, in the short time when I'm done here, and I'll be done shortly, you'll thank me. Well, at least I hope you will thank me. But the question is, will you have the courage to do the work you've heard today? See, what makes events, gatherings like this successful is whether we take what we hear and do something. It doesn't matter how many people are here. I'm not concerned with audience size. It doesn't matter how many people may watch a video clip of this talk. What matters is for anyone who has heard or will hear this talk, will you have the courage to accept the challenge? Will you do something? That most persistent question remains. What are you doing for others? And equally important, when will you do it? I say now, and from now on. So can I go a little deeper, Fairchild? The world and our nation is in a turbulent time. But, here's the key. Don't give up on who you are because of how things are. Your commitment to service calls you to be better than that. And furthermore, I believe Fairchild Air Force Base and all of its members can be a catalyst for service expansion, a service force multiplier. You begin to do something, and another joins in. And then another sees and joins in, etc., etc., etc. So look, don't waste this day. You heard it, it's a day on, not a day off. Do you know how precious today is? You will never get this day again. You are never going to get it back. So will you waste it, Fairchild? Or will you do something? Do something. Do something. Do something for others. Not because you have to, but because you want to. The Reverend Dr. King Jr. said this: if you can't fly, then run. If you can't run, then walk. And if you can't walk, then crawl. But whatever you do, you have to keep moving forward. Ooh, I wish I had more time, but let me stop. I will end with this. There is a reason we are gathered in a chapel. You must have faith in this work. Faith. The complete trust or confidence in something or someone. I have faith in you. Confidence in you. Trust that you will not let today just be a day for a dream. Let it be a week, a month, a year, a lifetime of service and civic duty. Let it be your vision. Let it be your reality. Let your service and your civic duty always be about equality, justice, and unity for all Americans, whether they wear the uniform or not, whether you wear the uniform or not. Your service is a legacy of how we continue to secure these things for everyone. And in doing so, you help create that society, that beloved community for the best of us, for the least of us, for all of us. It has been a wonderful pleasure being with you today in community. I appreciate you all, and I value and deeply respect what you do for this country, for this community. Thank you to Captain Downs and all of those who made this event possible. I salute you. Be well, Fairchild.